right now. Someone watching may have frozen meat sitting somewhere in the kitchen. Maybe you took it out this morning for tonight's dinner and left it on the table, or set it beside the sink before leaving the house. It probably feels completely normal because your mother may have done it that way, and many neighbors and friends have done the same for years. But after you watch this video to the end, you may never feel comfortable doing it that way again. If there is meat sitting out on your kitchen table right now, move it into the refrigerator immediately. I will explain exactly why in just a moment. My name is Hyun Jun Lee, and for 17 years I have worked in food sanitation and food poisoning prevention, education in large meal service settings, including hospitals, schools, companies, and military dining facilities. After working in hundreds of food service locations across the country, I have seen up close where food poisoning begins and how it happens. Today, based on that experience, I will explain why thawing meat at room temperature can be so risky. And I will show you the proper way to thaw meat safely while still protecting its flavor later in this video. I will also go over the freezing mistakes many households make before the meat ever comes out of the freezer. When meat is frozen the wrong way, even the best thawing method cannot fully save the taste and texture. So please stay with me until the end. If today's video is helpful, please write like in the comments. And by subscribing, you can keep receiving practical health information like this for everyday life. Now, let's first look clearly at why thawing meat on the counter can be so unsafe. Foodborne bacteria grow very quickly between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. In food safety, this is often called the danger zone, the moment frozen meat is left out on the kitchen table. The surface of that meat begins moving into this danger zone very quickly. That is where the real problem starts. The center may still be frozen solid, but the outside has already reached a temperature where bacteria can multiply fast. During those few hours, while you wait for the inside to thaw completely, bacteria can keep increasing on the surface. Salmonella, Staphylococcus aureus, and Listeria are three common foodborne bacteria that can become a concern with thawed foods. When the temperature and moisture are right, these bacteria can double about every 20 minutes. That means meat left at room temperature for just 2 hours can have hundreds of times more bacteria than before. And after 3 hours, that number can become thousands of times higher. The piece of meat you simply left out without thinking may have been turning into a place where bacteria were growing rapidly. But there is an even more important point. Many people think that as long as they cook the meat well later, everything should be fine. Bacteria themselves can be killed with enough heat, but Staphylococcus aureus can produce toxins as it grows. Those toxins are not easily destroyed, even after boiling at 212 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. No matter how thoroughly the meat is cooked, toxins that have already formed can remain in the food. So you should not assume meat is safe just because it was cooked well over heat. I once saw this happen in a workplace cafeteria I was responsible for. During lunch on a summer day, about 30 employees began reporting stomach pain and vomiting around the same time. When we traced the cause, we found that the cook had taken chicken out in the morning and left it beside the sink to thaw. The chicken had been cooked fully to the center, but food poisoning still occurred. The reason was that Staphylococcus aureus toxins had already formed in the meat. Since that day, I have never allowed meat to be thawed at room temperature. There is one more misunderstanding I need to address. Some people think it is fine in winter because the house feels cool. But indoor winter temperatures are usually around 65 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. That sits right in the range where bacteria can grow quickly. Spring, summer, fall, or winter. Leaving meat out indoors is risky no matter the season. This deserves extra care in homes with young children who have weaker immune systems, or in homes where older adults live. You should also know that the level of risk can change depending on the type of meat. Chicken is especially linked with Salmonella. Fish can be vulnerable to Vibrio bacteria. And ground meat needs careful handling because of E. coli. With these three foods, leaving them at room temperature for even 1 hour can raise the chance of foodborne illness. so they need especially careful attention. So, how should meat be thawed safely? I am going to walk you through 3 proper thawing methods that I have relied on and checked closely during 17 years of food safety work in the field. The first method is thawing in the refrigerator. This is the safest method, and it also does the best job of protecting the flavor and texture of the meat. The process is simple. Take the frozen meat out of the freezer and move it into the refrigerator. Most refrigerators stay around 32 to 41 degrees Fahrenheit. At this temperature, bacteria have a very hard time growing. That means the meat can thaw slowly and safely without the same concern you would have on the kitchen counter. The time needed depends on how thick the meat is. Thin slices of bacon-style pork belly, shaved beef, or thin-cut meat for stir-fry may be ready in 6 to 8 hours. A thick pork shoulder, steak, or larger cut may take about a day to a day and a half. If you plan to cook it for dinner, move it to the refrigerator in the morning. If you plan to eat it tomorrow night, move it over tonight. Building this one habit of moving meat one day ahead can remove the risk that comes from thawing it at room temperature. There is one rule you should always follow when thawing meat in the refrigerator. Place it on the lowest shelf. As meat thaws, liquid can leak out. If the meat is stored higher up, that liquid can drip onto other foods below. Always set the meat on a plate or tray to catch the juices. Then place it on the bottom shelf of the refrigerator. This small step makes a big difference in helping prevent cross-contamination inside the fridge. The second method is thawing in cold water. This is the method to use when you need meat for dinner today and do not have enough time for refrigerator thawing. Put the frozen meat in a sealed zip-top bag, close it tightly, and place it in cold water. There is one rule you must not ignore. Do not use warm water or lukewarm water. If you use warm water, the surface of the meat can quickly move into the danger zone, making it risky in the same way as leaving it out at room temperature. Cold water thawing works quickly while staying safer because water transfers heat much better than air. Even at the same temperature, heat moves into the meat much faster in water than it does in open air. So the meat thaws faster even when the water is cold. Keep the temperature low while speeding up the thawing process. That is the main idea behind cold water thawing. Change the water every 30 minutes. As time passes, the water temperature can rise from contact with the frozen meat. Thin cuts may thaw in 30 minutes to 1 hour, while thicker pieces may take 1 to 2 hours. The reason for sealing the meat in a zip-top bag is that direct contact with water can pull out moisture and flavor. That sealed bag helps protect not only safety, but also the taste of the meat. The third method is thawing in the microwave. This should only be used when you truly need to cook the meat right away. If it is done the wrong way, the edges of the meat can start to cook or turn tough before the center is thawed. Always use the defrost setting on your microwave. Do not use the regular heating setting. The defrost setting uses lower power and raises the temperature slowly, so the meat is less likely to start cooking. Run it for 2 minutes, take it out, and turn it over. Then run it for another 2 minutes and turn it again. Thawing it in short rounds like this helps keep the edges from cooking too soon. Depending on the thickness of the meat, repeat this process 2 or 3 times. After microwave thawing, you must begin cooking right away. Put it directly into the pan or start cooking immediately. Do not leave it sitting at room temperature even for a short time. Now let me share one field-tested tip that many home cooks can use. If you season meat before freezing it, the flavor can soak in as the meat thaws. For example, mix thin sliced beef or pork with a simple soy sauce and garlic marinade. Then spread it flat in a zip-top bag before freezing. Make it thin and flat, no more than about 3/4 of an inch thick. And it can thaw in the refrigerator in about 3 to 4 hours. This shortens the thawing time and helps the seasoning move deeper into the meat, giving it better flavor. I have used this method often in large-scale cooking, and it works well at home too. If you prepare several bags at once and stack them in the freezer, busy days become much easier because the meat is ready to cook once it thaws. Just remember, if you freeze it with vegetables like green onions or garlic, it is best to use it within 2 months. Vegetables can lose their texture when they stay frozen too long. There is another important rule to remember. Meat thawed in the microwave or in cold water should not be frozen again. During thawing, bacteria may have had a chance to grow, and refreezing can preserve that condition. Meat thawed in the refrigerator should be eaten within 1 to 2 days while kept cold, or cooked first and then frozen. Chicken needs especially careful handling because salmonella contamination is more common in chicken than in many other meats. For chicken, use refrigerator thawing or cold water thawing. And cook it fully until the center reaches at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Now let's look at the right way to freeze meat from the beginning. Even if you thaw meat correctly, poor freezing can damage the flavor. Many people bring meat home from the grocery store and put it straight into the freezer in the store package. This is one of the most common mistakes. Store packaging often has air inside, and the oxygen in that air reacts with the surface of the meat, leading to freezer burn. Freezer burn happens when the surface of the meat dries out and oxidizes, causing color changes, weaker flavor, and a tougher texture. Once freezer burn develops, even careful thawing cannot bring the original taste back. The way to prevent it is simple. Divide the meat into portions you will actually use. Wrap each portion tightly in plastic wrap so air cannot easily touch the surface. Then place the wrapped meat into a zip-top freezer bag. Press out as much air as possible and seal it. To remove the air, close the zipper almost all the way. Press the meat gently with your hands and push the air out before sealing the rest. This double wrapping helps prevent freezer burn, keeps freezer odors from getting into the meat, and makes it easier to take out only the amount you need. The best time to do this is as soon as you get home from the grocery store. Be sure to write the date on the package too. Beef is best used within about 6 months, pork within 3 to 4 months, chicken within 3 months, and ground meat within 1 to 2 months. Ground meat has more surface area, so it changes quality faster and needs extra attention. Let me also explain how to tell if frozen meat has gone bad after you thaw it. If the surface feels sticky or gives off a sharp, sour smell, the meat has spoiled. Even if it feels wasteful, it should be thrown away. Heating may not remove toxins that have already formed, so do not eat it. On the other hand, if the surface has many white ice crystals or the color has turned grayish brown, that is usually freezer burn. It is not necessarily harmful to eat, but the flavor will be much lower. So it is better used in soups, stews, or chopped into smaller pieces. Frozen fish needs even more careful handling. Fish should be thawed only in the refrigerator. If you thaw it in cold water, the fishy smell can become stronger and the flesh can turn soft and fall apart. For frozen fish, refrigerator thawing is the only method I recommend. Now, let me bring today's message together clearly. Do not thaw frozen meat at room temperature. Bacteria can double every 20 minutes, and some toxins may not be destroyed even by boiling at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. There are 3 proper thawing methods. If you have time, thaw it in the refrigerator. If you need it sooner, use cold water thawing. If you are truly in a hurry, use the microwave defrost setting and cook it immediately afterward. When freezing meat, divide it into meal-sized portions, wrap each piece tightly in plastic wrap, and place it in a zip-top bag after pressing out the air. If you follow just these steps, you can greatly reduce the worry of food poisoning from frozen meat. It is not difficult, is it? You can start doing this today. Please share this video with family members or friends who still thaw frozen meat on the counter. When people do not know, their health can be put at risk. But once they understand, many of these problems can be avoided. This will be especially helpful for younger family members who are just learning to cook, or for someone living on their own for the first time. Your subscribe and like help me keep making videos like this. In the next video, I will come back with more practical, everyday health information that has been tested in real food safety settings. Thank you sincerely for watching today.